are you today, Diana?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good. So how has your week been so far?
It's been pretty great, actually. I'm so glad it's Friday.
Yeah, that is good. Well, we're going to jump right in to the session so we can talk about all the things that we need to talk about.
All right.
The first thing I want to do is I just want to remind you that, from last session, we do have confidentiality and we keep that within this room and it doesn't go outside unless, those 3 things I talked about.
Right.
But I want to start out with a mood check to see how you've been feeling this last week since our last visit.
Okay.
So what emotions have you been feeling this past week?
Well, I went back to Pennsylvania, so I was really happy and felt like I was finally getting a break from school. So that pretty much lifted up my whole week. Like, since I got back, I've been way less stressed because I just don't care about being down here. And I just realized it doesn't matter. So I guess I've just been like, I feel like I've been on a cloud all week. Like, I know when I got back, I only had 2 days of school before it was the weekend. So it's been a really chilled out week.
That is nice that you get that break. So, from what we talked about last time in our previous session, how is your mood compared to our last session?
I would say, overall, I would say I'm happier and less stressed, less anxiety, and less worrisome.
Less worrisome.
Yeah, I think I'm. I don't know if it's just this week, or if it was like a change, but I feel like I'm a lot happier.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how much happier are you compared to last time?
Last time I think I was like a 4. I would say this time I'm like 9 or 10.
9 or 10. That's a really good improvement. So what I want to do is I want to set an agenda for today. We kind of went over an agenda for our first session, but second session is a little different. I want to know that we already did the mood check, but I want to start off with having talk about our previous session and what we discussed.
Okay.
I want to review the homework that I gave you first session, and then we'll prioritize the agenda and the 2 main things that you want to hit today, the problems that you want to hit. And then we'll go over and we'll set some more homework for next time, or this time until next time.
Yeah.
And then I'll provide, a little summary of what we've done, and then I'd love to hear feedback from you.
Okay.
And then we'll, close with, saying our goodbyes.
Okay.
So our previous session we had basically, talked about your wedding and how it was, making you a little stressed, but it was going well, and So how has that all been going?
Oh, actually, since I went home, I got to go pick the bridesmaids' dresses and actually ordered them. So that was one more thing done, and we got all the save the dates in. We went and picked up the envelopes because the actual magnets weren't going to be there until yesterday. But I got all the addresses done, and my mom can just stuff them in and then send them. So that part's done. Jason still doesn't have maybe 10 or 15 people's addresses for those, but mine are all done, and I did everything that he gave me. So I feel like if he wants it done, he'll just do it. If not, fine. But
well, that's good. So
yeah, I got a lot done.
We've got very much improvement on that. Okay, so the homework that I had given you last week was to write down your feelings and your thoughts towards this whole wedding thing. How did that go?
Well, I started taking more I used to journal all the time, and then I just kind of quit for a while. I just never thought about it, but I started doing that again. And when I write it out, it's like how I process stuff, and I got back into that. So I think it makes me realize what I'm thinking either is a big deal or it's not, or what out of what I'm thinking is the problem and not just all the junk around it. So I think it helped me weed out unnecessary worries stuff.
So it was able to help you a little bit?
Yeah, I would say it's a benefit.
Okay. Well, that's great. So I want to start with what you want to talk about today.
Okay.
So what's the 2 things that you came in for today to talk about?
Okay, the first one I would say is one of my classes. Once in a while, it's not all the time, but just once in a while, I feel like whatever she's going over, and this seems to be anything math or computer related, it's just not my thing. And so I get overwhelmed with it, and I feel like I have no idea what she's talking about. Like, I don't understand the examples, or I just don't get like the paragraph form. Like, I'm not understanding what she's saying. It's like an hour-long class, so it's like, I feel like I just wasted an hour, trying to understand, and I don't. And she goes so quick that I feel like I'm just wasting time. And then I get kind of frustrated because, darn it, I'm not an idiot, but why can't I understand this? And then my second one is, recently, like, my parents have a business and they're on the phone constantly, but especially my dad, I don't get to talk to him very much. And so when I call him on the phone and he's got drivers and mechanics and everybody's around him all the time, I don't really get to talk to him. And like, when I do talk to him, I feel like he's not really listening. He's just kind of throwing off different conversations, and then he has to go because there's people sitting around waiting to talk to him in person. Lucky jerks. But anyway, so I guess when that happens, I just feel like kind of undervalued a little bit. Like, can you just make 5 minutes?
Right. Yeah. I can understand how that must be hard. So, which one would you like to work on? Would you like to start with the most? Would you like to work on the most?
Let's do the school one because I can deal with that
school one.
Easier.
Okay, and then we'll save the second one with your value and your dad and your family for later if we have time. So, Diana, you just told me a little bit about how you were feeling, taking the class, how you were stressed and maybe a little frustrated. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
From
not understanding.
Some things you weren't understanding and stuff. So I want to ask you, what were you thinking when you're frustrated?
I guess it's like my brain goes into slow motion, and I still know that I don't understand, but I hear everybody talking about it. Like, why am I the only person in this room who doesn't get this? And it just makes me like, I don't know how to say it other than frustrated, but just mad. I get really angry with myself. And then like my next reaction, even though I'm just sitting there, is my eyeballs swell up and I like my body wants to cry, but I'm like, stop being an idiot. There's no reason to cry over this. Like, I feel like I'm in second grade again where like I didn't know how to do division and I'm so frustrated. Like, it's I feel like it's such a childish reaction, but for a second my body just like wants to cry. I don't like that.
So that's the kind of emotion you feel?
Yeah, I just get like overwhelmed and then.
So what is the automatic thought that you think that you might be thinking when you're frustrated and you feel like you are having the emotion of wanting to cry?
Well, I feel like everybody else is getting it, but I'm like not. And the two people sitting next to me, they're just going along and doing it and stuff, and I'm like, I just don't, like, what's wrong with me? Why do I not understand this? You know what I mean? Why, like, I don't really think I feel stupid, but I feel like temporary stupid. Like, it's just that one thing, right? Like, I don't know why it's that concept. Like, it's almost like you have a certain level of smartness, and like I've reached my level of smartness. Like, I cannot. This level, like this information's up here, and I'm only this smart. You know what I mean? Like, I can't get to there. If that makes sense. Like, God gave you a certain amount of brain, and I've used all mine up.
So this thought usually comes up when you have class, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And you said that what you noticed in your body and everything is your emotion of getting upset and wanting to cry, right? Is that what I get? So what I want to ask is, how much do you believe that you are sometimes like that you've reached your smartness, or you've that you're temporary stupid? How much do you believe that on a scale of 1 to 10? I mean 0 to 10, meaning 0 you don't believe it, and 10 you really, really do believe it.
Sometimes I really believe it, but then when it comes, like I guess I stop and I realize maybe just need to spend a little more time on this, or figure out how it's. I don't know. I guess to answer your question without just going on, I would say probably a 4.
A 4.
Yeah.
So
I almost halfway believe it, but not quite.
Okay. And I'm gonna ask you, how do you feel when you think this? Do you feel upset?
Yeah, I get really angry. Yeah. I'm just like, I almost hate the people around me who are understanding. Like, I'm like, why is this so easy for you? Because it's so hard for me.
Right.
And
how strongly do you feel about this on a scale of 0 to 10?
Well, I mean, I know it's not their fault that they're understanding it. Like, I'm glad for them that they don't understand it. They were all feeling like how I felt. It would be a really sucky day for the whole classroom, and the teacher would not want to deal with us all. So, I'd be like a 2.
2.
I'm more mad at myself, I guess.
So, I want to ask you, I want to challenge you a little bit to think farther into this thought. But like you said, your thought was that you're temporarily stupid and you get frustrated or because you don't understand. So the thought is that you're thinking you're temporarily stupid. So I'm asking, what is evidence that supports that thought?
Well, I figure I'm not understanding it. Like, what more proof do I need that, like, there's a cap on your knowledge ability? I mean, other than that, I don't really think there's a whole lot. Because, I mean, eventually I do understand it, but it just, maybe that one concept takes me a little longer. Or, you know, I, like, forget about it until it's, like, the test is the next day. And so I go back to that one thing that I had a difficulty understanding and hammer that and look at examples. But, I guess the other proof would be you can't, like, when you don't understand when something's explained to you, like, that's bad. And then when you get examples, like, that are supposed to make it so much easier and now I'm just more confused, like, that, like, compounds on top of the first part and it feels like what more proof do I need, you know? Like, what is going to take for me to actually understand this?
Okay. So now I want to ask you the opposite, and I want to ask, what is the evidence against this?
Well, I think the fact that I eventually at some point do find a way to put it in my brain comprehending way, or like somebody just like really simplifies it for me, so I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Or maybe it's just sometimes the next example, like something in that one clicks and I get it. So eventually I do understand it. I don't like how long it takes.
It just takes a little while.
Yeah, and I wish I knew like why some concepts are so easy and some are not. But.
So I understand that you're saying, you know, there's two different, something that supports it and something that's against it. So is there an alternative explanation to why you may feel stupid or why you can't understand?
Alternative explanation.
Meaning, could there be another viewpoint on this?
Okay. Well, I know the devil wants me to feel that way. I know it's not like his goal is to like tear down your self-worth and make you feel like you don't know what's going on so that you won't try and be your best person. So I think he definitely attacks any little weakness I have like that. As soon as I start to feel that way, it like all of a sudden gets worse because I know he just did that to me.
Okay, well, like you just said that, you know, you're feeling like the devil is, you know, sort of against you and trying to make you feel like that. So my next question is, what is the worst that could happen when you think about this? Is that the worst, or?
I guess by not continuing, like if I let that thought and that emotion like shut me down and don't continue to try to figure it out, that would be the worst thing, I guess, because if I just give up every time, then I'm not going to get anywhere, ever.
Right.
So I think that would be the worst, just giving up.
Okay. If the worst thing did happen, so let's say you did feel like giving up and you felt like you didn't want to continue because you felt like you weren't learning anything, how would you cope with that? How would you try to cope with that?
I don't know. I mean, I've quit piano lessons like 100 different times, but there's not really much else in my life that I've quit because I don't want to be a quitter. So I just stop myself. Like, I realize that some people do let things stop them in life and they don't get anywhere. And I look at those people and I think, bummer. Like, you could be so much more in life, or you could, you know, you dropped out of school, but just because it was hard. Like, lots of stuff is hard. So I don't want to do that to myself. So I guess I just self-motivate myself again to just get over it and do it. You'll figure this out. You always do, and it'll be fine.
Okay. So I want to skip to, you know, the automatic thought that you were feeling, you know, temporary stupid, but the reason you said you were feeling that automatic thought was because you weren't able to understand the teacher, which she was talking about, and what she was saying was a little bit frustrating because you couldn't, you know, weren't able to understand it. So what is a more realistic outcome instead of you being stupid?
I guess just everybody has a different learning style, and apparently that day she didn't pick mine to use as like the illustration. I just need maybe a different example, either visual or auditory. Like I don't know, there's many different ways to learn. So I guess the alternative to that one not working would be pick one that does.
That's really good that you were able, to see that a different outcome of why you might not be feeling that, and you can see a different viewpoint. So, what effect does this? Well, you kind of already answered the question of what the effect has this automatic thought has on you.
Yeah, you get angry and stuff.
So yeah, what could change your thinking?
I guess not. Like realizing from the beginning, as soon as I start to get angry and upset, to shut it down, and you just maybe try to look at it again from the beginning, like, and not think about how much I just got frustrated with it, but just, okay, I know I can learn this, I know I will learn this, so maybe just take a step back and then try to figure out how to understand it, I guess, or pretend like it didn't frustrate me already and start over.
Okay, that's a really good, to be able to change the thinking of not thinking that you are, stupid, and thinking a more positive outlook on it. So I wanted to see if there's something that you could do, possibly, kind of as a homework thing, to help you change that thought, to change your thinking to what you had just mentioned.
Okay, well, I have this class. It's mostly in statistics for this semester, but it just happened like a couple weeks ago. I don't remember what the concept was, but wait, what was the question? What is my homework?
Like, what kind of thing could you do to help change your thinking that you are stupid? Change it into something positive. What's something that you could start to do maybe this coming week?
Okay, when something makes me start like to feel frustrated or angry about not picking something up as quick as I think I should, I guess I need to, talk about it maybe with the person next to me who is understanding it, like see if I could get them to real quick explain it to me. Like I don't want to distract them while they're in class, maybe I'll wait till after, but or maybe just spend some like personal time with the teacher, like after, like, hey, I really didn't understand this, or maybe during break during the class, see if they can quick summarize it so I can understand it better.
So like kind of maybe put that on paper, or
yeah, like just write down a plan kind of,
okay.
Or maybe just like go to my teacher this week and say, hey, there's some topics that I don't understand, and I start to feel really frustrated in class, and I don't want to ask a question when there's 85 kids in there, because it's just like, so maybe I could just ask her what our office hours are and figure out, or set up like a forum for talking to her.
Yeah, kind of like kind of like a schedule if you needed help, or kind of a plan to say if you have questions or anything like that.
Right.
Okay, well that's great. I think that is something. Do you think that's something you could try?
Yeah.
For this coming week?
That's doable.
Okay. So Diana, as we've gone over in this session, we've talked about that's the one problem that we started with your statistics, and how you've had that automatic thought, but we kind of worked through it and helped you realize that you won't always have that thought if you look into a positive outlook and change your thinking. And I really am happy that you think that you can be able to change the thinking, and you came up with a plan to be able to change, and hopefully this will help you in order to get rid of that thought mostly, and hopefully automatically if it were to come back up. So we weren't able to get to our other second one, but when we come back for next week, we will definitely hit on that, and we'll go through that. Okay. So I also wanted to ask you if you have any feedback for me.
Another thing would be, I guess, I forget which one it was, but you asked me a couple questions, and I was having a really hard time figuring out how to turn that back into something I could tell you.
Okay.
Like, simplified a couple of those questions. I don't know, like, or maybe like ask the question just like you did, and then give an example or something. Cause
so kind of explain it.
yeah, just maybe get rid of some of the technical words because I was like, what?
Okay.
But yeah, that would probably be the one. But I thought you did good with summarizing the stuff and shooting it back to me.
Okay. Well, thank you. So for next time, you can just go ahead and we'll set up another appointment and we can go from there. And if you have any questions or anything, you can give me a call. And if you need anything, I'm always here.
All right. Thanks so much.
I hope you have a wonderful day, Diana.
You too.